Hey guys, and welcome to the newest episode of Be Hero Presents the Bump Card Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, as always, Brian, and with me tonight is my tag partner, Psycho. How you doing tonight, Psycho?
I'm tired as usual, but doing all right.
I feel you. Like we were just saying off the air, I'm coming off of a 6-weekend stretch of matches. Happily, I've got next weekend off to recover, but it has been a long road to hoe, as they would say, for shows. But that being said, as the new DCW Utah State Television Champion, I got to defend my title. So, oh man, sorry, humble brag, as it were.
That's what you get for that humble brag, right?
That's right. As you guys just heard, we tonight have a special guest joining us. We're going back to our slightly interviewing style of doing these podcasts. Tonight is a gentleman who's been around Utah wrestling for a long time. Me and him have actually never had the opportunity of having a match together, but our paths have kind of fluttered in and out on different things, a lot more now with devotion. That man is the one and only Jayson Bravo. How you night, Bravo?
Bravo. Happy to be here, and such an honor to be here talking to you two gentlemen tonight. So, yeah, like you said, we never wrestled a match, but we knew of each other. But I guess you can thank good old Stevie Slick for that.
Right.
Me coming from the UCW camp, and
Oh,
but now that whole band is kind of lifted, and yeah, hopefully down the road we can definitely work a match together.
Oh yeah, dude, I'm excited and totally be down for any of that. But as we go through this, we're gonna go ahead and talk a little bit about your history in wrestling, particularly in stuff with Utah, like UCW-Zero, and then some of the stuff you've been doing recently, coming back with the stuff that UCW is starting to back up with, your time with Devotion, your time with Dive, and everything else. But let's go ahead and start off with the same question we ask every interviewee, and that is, what got you to the business?
So I grew up a wrestling fan when I was a teenager, roughly around 13, 14 years old. It was right along the Attitude Era of WWF, and sort of the biggest, sort of like some of the biggest years of the WCW. So a little bit past the highlight of the Monday Night Wars. I would have got into it much sooner, but I had a very conservative mother who absolutely hated wrestling. So, yeah, but we all have one of those, right? But yeah, I mean, right out of I want to say like 8th or ninth grade, I would tune in every single Monday night. I would watch like the first hour of Monday Night Nitro. I would literally put videotape in the VCR, record the second hour, and then I would go to another room and watch Monday Night Raw. And then once that was over, I would watch the rest of Nitro. So that's how much of a fan I was. Yeah,
sounds very familiar. I think most of us did. I know Psycho did.
we all had our rituals for sure. I used to watch Nitro first, and then I would have Raw recorded, and then I'd go back and watch Raw until Eric Bischoff started like spoiling the Raws for me, and so then I did the opposite. Then I watched the WCW Nitro replay when it aired, so it made it easy.
Yeah, that was a little bit before my time when I started watching wrestling. I think I got into it I think it was around the time when, what was it, Macho Man Randy Savage beat Kevin Nash at Bash of the Beach for the title, and then the night after, Hogan came back and dethroned Macho Man as the champ.
Because that's what Hogan does, man.
Beat Randy Savage? Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Going to business for myself, brother.
That's right. That should be on his tombstone, honestly. But all right.
I would have thought that on his tombstone it would say, "That doesn't work for me, brother."
I don't lay on my back and do the business for anybody, not even God.
I'm not laying down for anybody.
Jesus. All right. Well, it's a very common thing with a lot of workers where, you grew up sitting around the Attitude Era and watching stuff. And like you said, we all had those mothers, or in my case, grandmother, who was a very strict about watching wrestling and things like that. So it took me a while to get there or back there for myself as well. All right. Well, with that being said, how did you find the business to start your training?
So I started getting into the wrestling business or heard about UCW-Zero back in January of 2010. Before that, I was married at the time and went through a divorce. And it was at that opportunity where I was like, okay, I hear that there's a promotion in town. I am a fan of wrestling. This is something I at least want to try out and see if this is something that can kind of, scratch my itch, as they say. And then, yeah, went to a training event on a Sunday. It was back when Stevie Slick was doing trainings at Flash's Boxing Academy.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, those are probably some of the roughest bumps I took. I mean, if you never bumped in a boxing ring, it's
Yeah.
definitely a good way to get a good intro on how rough the wrestling business can be from a physicality standpoint,
Oh yeah.
even if you're doing everything right.
Oh yeah. It's a good way to start, quote unquote, because then everything after that point feels like a pillow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can bump in a ring all day and just like, oh, nice.
Yeah, exactly.
This is fine. Yeah, definitely build a tolerance for it.
So how was your training like going there every week and getting trained and everything like how did it feel to you?
I mean, being a newcomer, I was just there just to learn the basics. So learning how to bump, how to take moves, learning how to hit the ropes. But it wasn't until I started training consistently with Derek Janetti is when I really started getting a good grasp on ring psychology and how to put together a structured match. Because it wasn't until like a year later when I first started training is when I was starting doing shows consistently. But yeah, so a lot of my success I definitely have to owe to Derek because he's the one that basically took me under his wing and helped me become the well-known wrestling veteran that I am today.
Right on.
And so did you debuted as Jason Bravo then, right? You didn't start as anything else?
Yeah, Jayson Bravo. I actually debuted as a referee for the Rocky Mountain Rumble that year, which was 2010. So yeah, they had me ref the matches throughout the show, and then once they announced Jayson Bravo, I did the whole gimmick where I ripped off the with the ref's pants and the ref's shirt and just jumped right in, and I had no idea what I was doing. All I knew was just like just hit someone in the corner and then just take whatever from the veterans and the guys that knew better, and got thrown out by Guerrero Azteca shortly after. But
I'm guessing you went through a whole lot of chops in that match.
oh yes, yeah, a good number of them by Junior X. That son of a bitch.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I have taken my fair share of chops and kicks from Will, and he's on my top 10 list of chops. I'll just say that. So,
Oh, well, we should definitely do a top 10 list of chops, or at least a top 5.
I'm all about the
chopper.
lists, so yes.
well, we'll run through a list real quick of at least the top 5 here at the end as we go through the interviews. I already got several popping in my head. We probably have some
I
of
can
the
think of
same.
a few.
But all right. Well, you mentioned Derek was the one that brought you in, the great Derek Janetti. And we've talked here on the podcast before in Utah wrestling. Derek is probably pound for pound the best worker and best wrestler in all of Utah. I've never really got along with Derek. Not that he's a bad guy, just me and him never clicked and such like
Right.
that. It's just just how it was. But I always respected his ability and everything he could do in the ring because he was amazing. He still is amazing on the occasion he gets in the ring and works. So
Yeah, not only that, he's like a really great locker room leader as well. Like he would be the guy that would run down the show and make sure that we didn't duplicate shit and just make sure that we had a consistent flow. And Derek's philosophy was, when do we start our show? We start on time.
That's right. Which in Utah wrestling is a rarity.
That's just independent wrestling.
I guess
in
that's
general.
true. worked a lucha show several years ago, and the show was supposed to start at like 5, and we didn't start the show till almost 9.
Huh.
It was insane. It
Oh
was the
wow.
longest I'd ever gone before starting a show, and it got to a part where crowd was actually leaving, and we were waiting on the booker himself to get there. He was the one that was causing the whole show to be late. So,
Oh gosh.
but
Someone else booked the show.
I, in that defense, that's what happened at War a bunch. We would get everything set up for the show, and the booker for War couldn't make it or was going to be late, so he'd always like, "Hey, we need these matches on the card at somewhere. This has got to be the main. Book the rest of the card." It's like, okay, I guess that's what I'll do. We'll get the show started, and he'd roll up just before his match and be like, "All right, this is what I'm doing. Who's my guy? All right, there you are. Let's go." And that was it. Good old War.
The booker wasn't Jagger Lane by chance, was he?
Nope, Brick Alexander.
Ah, okay.
So,
And he's doing his own promotion now, isn't he?
Brick?
Is he?
Or no, I'm probably thinking of someone else.
I don't.
There's like an FTW or FDW, whatever.
STF.
Okay.
And yeah, that's Derek Beckstead. He's
Darren Beckstead.
I'm sorry, Darren Beckstead. Wrestled as, what was his gimmick name? Kendall Rush. He's an alright guy too. I've never had an opportunity to work with him as a booker. He didn't want to pay my rates, so
Heaven forbid we make a little bit money on
right.
independent scene, right?
It's one of those good brother payments, right? Or good brother deals is like what he was expecting, and others I've worked in the past expect is like, oh, we're friends, man. Come work my show. It's like, okay, yeah, I'll give you a friend discount. This is my price for you as my friend. Oh, I thought you do it for free because we were brothers. It's like, no, I don't do anything for free. Even like devotion, I'm not technically doing it free. I'm just getting my training for like a hell of a great deal because I'm working the show. So, and they put the strap on me. So,
Mark. Sorry.
Wow, didn't even get a hot dog and a handshake for that for your friend's show. Huh?
No, that's all right though. Hey, devotion, we do hot dogs now at least. So.
Oh.
Oh man.
So Bravo, who came up with the Bravo gimmick of the whole Bravo?
Interesting story. That was actually an idea. Well, I came up with the name just because I wanted something that had my same initials, and always thought, Jayson Bravo, a cool name. But a lot of people say it's inspired by Johnny Bravo, but no similarities, no. That didn't help the gimmick at all. But the actual gimmick itself, with the clapping hands and the Bravo, that was actually Devin Payne's idea.
Okay.
Yeah, because Devin Payne actually came back for a little bit when I started and started doing consistent shows. And yeah, he was the one that inspired me to do the whole Bravo combo, the whole clapping, and just be this arrogant son of a bitch that's just wanting the fans to clap for him.
Right on. Yeah, it's a great gimmick. It works so well as a heel gimmick for you. And with the Bravo comic, especially now where you've co-opted it to not just a heel gimmick, but worked it into a face gimmick because people know your heel shenanigans from it. So.
Yeah, you just hit the nail on the head. I mean, out of all my times in UCW, I enjoyed being a heel the most because, I mean, who wants to kiss babies and shake hands?
Right.
Sign me up for the heel gimmick. I want to shake babies and not kiss hands.
Very well put. No, being a heel is way more fun.
Yeah. The only time in Devotion's time that I was a face was under when Vince Russo was booking for us, and
how was that, by the way?
It was really interesting. He gets a lot of crap, and some of it is definitely due, but he's actually a really chill dude and really interesting to talk with. We had an opportunity to go to lunch with him. Psycho and I both did.
Yeah.
And just to shoot the shit on some stuff. And then we did some one-on-ones with me and him, talk over gimmicks and stories and things like that. He was doing a lot of his stuff remotely from Colorado,
Okay.
and stuff like that.
Yeah, cause yeah, because he was doing Rocky Mountain Pro as well.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember Bobby Jackson talking about a time where he showed up to a show, Russo was booking, and Bobby was working some, I forget his name, probably some newer guy, and Russo wanted like an 80-20,
Hmm.
80% the new guy, 10% Bobby, and Bobby just took control. He's like, no, we're gonna go 50-50, and just put on a hell of a match. And then I'll never forget, I love Bobby's impression of Vince Russo. It says after the match, from what Bobby would recall, Russo like, bro, bro, do that for me every time, and you have a spot here every show, bro.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, I like with me, Vince Russo. He was very good at like producing like like backstage promos and stuff like that. All of those types of things. He was very good at that because he was very hands on. When he was not doing it remote, but when he was actually there producing them. But I thought that like we'd see more eye to eye, and we kind of, I don't know. I always felt he didn't like me, but that's another story for another day.
Oh,
But
come on, what's not to like? I mean, hey.
Right. uh,
hey, but he has his good points and his bad points, in my opinion.
yeah. Well, I think that's the thing is like I never had an interaction with Russo that was not or that was bad, right? That was something I didn't feel like was good for me and my gimmick. Um, when I went face, it was different for me because I don't do face a lot. I mostly heel because again, as we mentioned, it's so much more fun. It's uh, when I did the
Shaking babies and not kissing hands.
exactly. Well, when I went face, it was by pure accident. The first show that we had Russo on to do booking for us. My tag partner decided the Friday before that he was moving to Florida and not telling anybody about it, and totally just no showed the show. And we had said it where me and him were going to work in a number one contendership match to go towards the tag titles, and we were working a couple of guys from Colorado. And when he no showed me, we still kept the match, and I did it as a handicap match, and it was going to be a heel versus heel match initially. And just because it was a handicap match, I played it more sympathetic for myself, and then tried to get someone to tag for me and stuff like that. We even did vignettes how he left me, and we had a female bodyguard there with us, and we had the gimmick was I was the experienced vet. My tag partner was the young new kid, but had money, so he was paying me to essentially be his friend and tag partner, and was paying our bodyguard to be the third person to help us, so that we had that. Well, the gimmick was like, oh, he's gone. All right, no, you step up, tag with me, so we can do this. And she's like, you're not paying me. I'm leaving. And so she left. So I had to go do this on my own. And I ended up getting sympathy from the fans. And Russo's like, you're a face now. I'm like, okay, I guess. But we worked it out. So
that's hilarious. That disheveled. All right, fine.
yeah.
I guess I'll be the good guy. I mean, in any other instance outside of wrestling, I mean, that'd be something where we'd be like, yes, good guy.
Yeah.
But
well, it's so much harder to be a good guy too. Like it's easy to piss people off, right? And
oh yeah,
to get them to dislike you, but it's that much harder to get somebody to like you, especially if you're working with a heel who doesn't know how to get heat really well. So you have to work twice as hard to get sympathy from someone who doesn't know how to give heat well, and it just makes it that much more difficult. But I did well. Started selling merch pretty well too. I was making a couple $100 a show every time just off of merch for being a face, which is the one of the best parts about being a face is the merch sales. So, but
For sure.
all that being said,
Yeah.
Russo's time was
I mean,
spent. So
Nice. I was going to say I need to jump on that merch bandwagon, but that's cool though, brother. I mean, it's funny because you hear people from Jim Cornette just shares nothing but the bad and just all the memories that he had of Russo. But yeah, I guess it's one of those situations where it just really helps just to hear both sides. But yeah, yeah, that's really awesome though that he just took the time to work with you guys.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely the guy that's responsible, in my opinion, probably one of the biggest segments in Raw history, the Rock and Sock connection.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not hard to write though for Rock and Foley. I mean, it's like you can basically put them out there and be like, "All right, go do your thing," and you're gonna get a good moment.
Yeah, I imagine the script was Rock goes out there and does Rock things. Foley comes out with a clown and does
Yes.
Foley things. So, like, legitimately though, there was a part in the script in one backstage skit that we did while Russo was working with us, where Josh Glade's gimmick, where he became the more insane one, where he doesn't talk, has the Baby Yoda and everything. That was a lot to do with Russo, and
oh really?
yeah, and there was a backstage skit with that where it was literally William Cutting, because they were feuding at the time. William Cutting goes to talk to him. Glade's doing Glade things. That's literally what it said in the script. So,
and then it was up to Glade to do his thing.
Yeah, and he did, and it was great. Yeah. So, well, with that being said, Jayson, let's talk about some of your favorite matches over the years. Well, actually, before we jump onto that, what was your first match outside of the Rumble?
Try to remember. I think my very first match was Wrestling Junior X. I think it was shortly after the Rumble. He was kind of doing this double identity gimmick where he was Blackout, where he would come out part of the show as Junior X, and later he would come out with this Blackout gimmick, this new mystery wrestler who just recently won the Rumble and has the rights to face Paco for the title. And yeah, it was just your typical, new face squash match with the mystery bad guy.
Yeah.
So that was probably my first exposure or my first actual match. And then at that point, I think it was shortly after that Derek came back and really started to work with me and put me under his wing and helped me evolve into the Jayson Bravo that we remember back then. He's probably number 2 as far as choppers on my list.
He does have a mean one. I worked in a battle royal, and I think we were at ACW. I think we did a battle royal with him on it, and I remember taking chops from him. I think he'd be in my top 10. I don't know if I'd have him in my top 5, but he was definitely had a mean chop to him. Actually, now I think about it, the infamous chop lines of UCW, because that's where I started initially. Was in UCW, and it was the infamous chop lines. That's where I remember Derek's chops from. So,
where they gave you a line of chops every time you mess up on something. Oh yeah.
Yep.
I remember those vividly.
Putting my hands up on a clothesline was the first ones I remember.
And that's when you hear Slick Q and no, what the hell are you doing? Put your hands up for goddamn clothesline.
Yep. Exactly what I heard. And then I got lit up. Before your time, there was a dude there named Mastodon, Kyle, and he was the one doing our training.
I actually know Mastodon. We actually went to high school together.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was a senior when I was a sophomore, but yeah, we didn't meet while he was wrestling, but we did kind of cross paths, and he told me a little bit about it, but yeah. I would have loved to. That's another guy that I wish I would have worked with.
Yeah, I never had an opportunity to work with Kyle on anything outside of just some training, because I trained for about 2 months at UCW initially, and then had a falling out with Slick, and then moved on to work with Nick about 4 months later at ACW.
And I've worked with Mastodon, so I've worked with a lot of the older guys, or not older necessarily in age, but that have been around a while.
But the vets, as they were. So
yeah.
But yeah. All right. Well, how did you ever have a match with Derek?
Yeah, I had several matches with Derek. In fact, he was the guy who I beat to win my first UCW heavyweight title.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we had like probably one of the best feuds in probably that I can remember, and yeah, it was a perfect setup. I mean, he just wrestled Centron to win back the title, and I just won the 2012 Rocky Mountain Rumble, eliminating Marcus House. And of course, we had a relatively long feud prior.
Mm.
Yeah, it was like the previous year where we had the culmination of our first feud in our yearly incarceration show.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I said before, I probably owe my career to Derek. I mean, he's the one that, definitely saw some potential in me, saw a great opportunity to, bring up this young kid who probably just needed a little bit of guidance. And yeah, yeah. So I give kudos to Derek for sure.
Well, every great locker room has to have a guy like that you need to have in the back that kind of not just guides you, but it is there to be like the person to look towards and ask questions to, right? For me, a lot of that stuff was like Jamin, Super Destroyer. He did a lot of that for me, as well as like Brick and Carey, Assassin Spencer Cage, Brick Alexander, uh, Psycho, a little bit here or there.
Thanks.
Navajo Warrior, and Michelle Morgan.
Nice.
So like,
I love Nav and Michelle.
Oh yeah, I do too. And Nav is, I think, on my list. By the way, he might be my top of my list for jobs. So
he's probably number one in my book
yeah.
because I remember, because I actually defended the title once against Nav, and I had been wrestling Derek, and there was one match in particular where Derek chopped me 7 times in a single match. Then I get to Nav, and he chops me 13 times in a match. But it was good though. I mean, the crowd loved it. I mean, the crowd loved watching Jayson Bravo get the chop shit out of by all the big time faces.
Oh yeah.
It put asses in seats.
And that's literally your job. So, but yeah, I love Nav too. Nav's another one I never actually had the opportunity to work a singles match with, but I've worked in tag matches and I've worked so many battle royals with him. Battle Royal, my number one rule is unless I'm in the final 4 with him, to avoid Nav as much as I can. So I don't get chopped. Usually I send the green kid over there. I'll pop a green kid, like boom, boom. All right, you see the Indian guy? Go after him.
Yeah, I don't think I ever worked Nav in a match. I might have been in a battle royal with him, but I don't think we crossed paths. I've been on shows with him and he's worked for me, but I don't think I've ever actually taken one of his chops. I thank goodness.
Me and Glade did a show in, I think it was Glade. Now I'm questioning, but I went and did a show in Arizona for Nav once at IZW, and it was me and I think Glade. I could be wrong who it was, but we were tagging against him and Lion, and they just beat the snot out of us.
Oh gosh, there was a period of time where I was going down to Arizona on a regular basis for Championship Wrestling Arizona, and every time Nav and Lion would be in some tag team with with another group of guys, I would just do like one of these and just be like,
"Good luck, son.
Good luck out there." Just glad it's not me.
I feel that hard. Well, now we talked about like the matches with you and Derek, and this your first match. Do you have a favorite match we haven't talked about yet, or what would be your favorite match?
Oh gosh, I mean, I have several matches that definitely stand out. Probably one that comes to mind is my street fight with Dallas Murdoch. That's the one where I, cut into him with a crowbar, and he actually went in across.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, gosh. Like, I remember that spot vividly well. Like, I get the crowbar in his forehead, look like I'm giving it to him, then turn to the crowd, pop them, get them to cheer me or boo me, and then turn around and just see Dallas just covered with blood. I'm like, holy shit, dude, you really went deep, didn't you, brother? That's like, all right, here we go. Let's keep going.
He went past that part of gigging to full on self mutilation. So.
Oh yeah, between him and Derek, I think those two are experts in that
Oh
category.
yeah.
I've known a few that would be up there as well with them.
Brad has done that a number of times. Brad Ladden, so
Marcus, for sure.
But as far as like other matches that are favorites of mine or my top matches, I mean, of course, wrestling Derek every night was a true blessing. I think our match in Incarceration for the Cage was probably one of my top favorites. Probably up there as well would probably be Zach James. Wrestling, I forget which Incarceration it was. Yeah, funny fact: Zach and I we wrestled at Incarceration 3 times.
Oh yeah. Oh man. I was there at training before Zam started training, or Zach James, excuse me, started training at UCW. I was there because we were training around in a ring in the backyard at Brad Landon's house. And Sam and Gabby at separate times. Uh, uh, Savannah Throne. Savannah Throne? No. What's her name? What's her name?
Savannah Thorne.
Yeah, Savannah Thorne.
Yeah, Savannah Thorne, formerly known as Sierra Rose.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's where my brain was getting mixed up. I was trying to mix them both together. But I met them both before they went to UCW to start training at Brad's backyard at training. In fact, Gabby actually almost killed me once when I was trying to show her how to give a suplex, and she let me go at the peak of the suplex. But yeah. But no, Sam, I love them both. We mentioned before off air that I'm in a fantasy football league with them, and they're great people. That being said, I have a bit of a rivalry with Gabby. I've done the league now for 2 years, and in both years, the championship has been me and Gabby. She's won one. I've won this last year. So if we both make it this year, it'll be our rubber match. So it's a good time.
There you go.
But yeah, Zach James he's a great guy. Like I can't say nicer things about both of them.
Yeah, I think those two are definitely the culmination of what like a beautiful couple could be.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, probably one of my favorite people. I mean, yeah, I remember just traveling on the road with them to Arizona several times, and yeah, those are probably the best road trips I've had. Just telling stories and just kicking the shit, and yeah, and just coming up with these amazing spots that we would have for our upcoming matches. And Sam is just one of those guys for me personally where there's just like very few people in this business that you come across where you just have chemistry just like that. And Sam for me was definitely one of those guys. He's probably like I probably would tie him up with probably him and Derek as far as people that I just flow with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've had several of those myself over the years. Psycho and I always have a decent flow together. I think it's because he trained me. So, but Leo Wolf, Brandon,
okay, I know Leo.
Yeah, he's one of my best friends. We've tagged over the years out of state with each other and stuff like that. But we've always had really good flow, good chemistry with each other. We got yelled at by Vince Russo once because we were supposed to go do a 3-minute match, and we ended up going 6 minutes on TV. And it's because our flow was so good, like we just didn't we even realize the time. We were just going, and they're like, "Take it home." It's like, oh, "Okay, we'll take it home." And I guess we hadn't heard the times the rest of the time, so we take it home. We get back, and it's like 6 minutes, and Russo's all upset with us. It's like, "I'm sorry, we were having fun."
What did he say to you?
I can't remember the exact words outside of like "bro" every other word, but it was ostensibly I gave you 3. Now you guys are taking away from the main. We're gonna have to cut your time, cut it in post, right? But he was pretty upset about it and stuff like that. And that's what they ended up doing. They ended up in post starting the match almost like 2:30 into the match, and they said that the match started like off camera. So on the tape, when you watch it on Fight TV, Devotion Championship Wrestling on Fight, it shows it on there at like I think it would be around like the 2:33 minute mark we were like already through his shine or my shine because he was working heel, I was working face. So we were already all like through right like to the tail end of my shine, right to the the cutoff, and then we went from the cutoff to the finish from there. But yeah, it was. We always have good flow. We've worked a number of matches out of state and have good flow. The short ran EPW here in Utah. We had some good hard matches for the title there. So anyhow, it's not about me. It's about you, Bravo. I like you
taking time away from others.
I know. I'm sorry. How heelish of me.
No, you're good. I definitely like hearing these stories from other wrestlers, but yeah, it's all good, man.
Well, you and I both have a mutual friend in Martin Casals.
Yeah,
and stuff like that. Have you ever had an opportunity to go on the road or do anything with Martin that way? I know some of his road stuff's been fun.
I mean, as far as like going on the road with wrestling, I mean, every time, I mean, there's been a few occasions where we wrestled a show on the road, but didn't have the opportunity or the pleasure to travel with him. I've had opportunities to travel with him outside of wrestling, hitting the road.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, most of my road stories have been with Sam or Gabby, and then I remember my first trip with Centron and Josh Damian. The first time ever I took a road trip to a promotion. It was actually for Rocky Mountain Pro. Yeah, I just remember probably the highlight is that Josh Damian falling asleep in the passenger seat, and then Centron had these beef jerky sticks that we bought at a gas station, and would just start whacking Josh Damian in the face every time he started to doze off.
You know what's crazy is I haven't thought about or heard the name of Centron in years, right? And I've now heard his name like 4 times today alone. We were talking about him at training, so we were having our wrestling training today. And Royce Bentley, Rudy, my tech partner.
Oh yeah,
he was talking about it, and then we were talking about something else. Like Glade was talking about it, and like it was like, man, there's a lot of Centron talk today. And now like bringing up all these stories of Centron, I was like, man, I haven't thought about this cat in forever, and now we bring him all up. But no, and so beef stick, that's great. Going with the road trip stories outside of assault with meat products, what is your favorite road story that you have?
Favorite road story. I mean, off the top of my head, I mean, unfortunately, I haven't had the opportunity to travel as much as I would like for wrestling, but I mean, I would definitely say that very first one with the whole assault with Sauce 6 to Josh Damian was probably top one. But I think another. Oh, I got one.
Okay.
One. So yeah. So this was another time that I was traveling to Rocky Mountain Pro. I was traveling with Bobby Jackson and Big Vig. So I was wrestling Curtis Cole, and during our travels, we were messing each other through Facebook Messenger, just trying to get some ideas on what we like to do. And I said, all right, what time do we got? 8 to 10. Okay, all right, sounds good. Just shooting ideas back and forth. And somehow we got delayed to the point to where we were literally pulling up to the venue as the show was starting, and I was match number 1.
Oh.
So I'm literally having to strip down, throw my wrestling gear on, and granted, now mind you, this show was at a movie theater, or a used movie theater. So if you go to a regular movie theater, the ring is at the very bottom of the steps, right where the movie screen would be. So stripping my clothes off, putting my wrestling gear on, tying on my boots, pulling right to the entrance, and people are seeing me jumping out from the car, walking to the front door in my wrestling gear, mind you. And I'm just wondering what these people think, like, who the hell is this guy? Is he like a stripper of some kind? But
yes.
So
yes, you are. No,
I'm like, yes.
Give me the singles right here.
Taking a page out of Martin Casals.
Right.
But yeah, literally making my way up the stairs as Curtis Cole is making his entrance. My music hits, and we go on with the show or go on with the match. Um, and then inadvertently, my match got cut short because even though my match was 8 to 10, like literally, I would say like 90 seconds into my match, I hear, "All right, take it home." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "What the hell, dude?" I'm just like, "All right, fine." Hit the ropes, Rough Rider, boom, get to the back, and I forget who was booking it. It was like, "Hey, man, I'm so sorry. You said 8 to 10, but I got confused with the first segment, which was 2 to 3 minutes." I'm like, "What?" So so that was a little bit
Wow.
frustrating. I mean, taking this 8 hour road trip, making an effort to change, get through the match, only to have it cut short.
I
Uh,
I have almost an identical story, well, not for Rocky Mountain Pro, but out in Colorado at Colorado Springs, CSW.
Yeah,
Uh,
and this is in no way
oh,
a shoot to Rocky Mountain Pro. I
yes.
actually love that promotion.
no,
I love Matt Yaden. That was just what happened at the time. So no throwing, no harm, no foul.
no,
All in the past.
right? Oh, Yaden,
Just in case anyone from that promotion's watching.
right?
Unbooked. No.
Right?
Book me, Aiden, please. Martin Cashouse is my roommate.
Oh no, Yaden's a great guy. But no, like for CSW, I was working there. We were working there regularly. Me, Leo Wolf, and Josh Glade, and we rolled up to go work a show, and we didn't get there late, mind you. We got there on time, but I get there and we get booked into this Gauntlet Battle Royal. So basically, it was a traditional battle royal style thing, or excuse me, rumble kind of thing. So you would get every few moments somebody else would come and get out of the ring, but the only way to get thrown out of the match was by pinfall or submission. It wasn't over the top, so you had to
Okay.
get pinned. And so I get put booked into that match myself, and I think Josh Blade did because I think Leo had a singles match, and I get put in there with Jim Lucas and what was the other one I worked at, just before that? That was in the ring. I can't remember who it was, but the other guy who I can't remember who it was. He was in the ring when I get in there. So me and him go at it, boom, 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 and Lucas comes out, and it's been like a difference of a minute, right? And Lucas is like, hey, let me hit you with the finish and get you out of here. I'm like, I just got in here just before you did. He goes, no, let me hit you with the finish and get out of here. I'm like, fine, whatever. So he hits me with the finish. I leave. And then I get out there and I get back to the back. I'm like, I just drove 10 hours for 1 minute worth of time out in this ring. And then they also stiffed me on pay by like half my pay on that show. It was the last time I worked CSW.
Uh,
Yeah.
If
independent wrestling, gotta love it.
it's better than getting paid with a coin collection, right?
Oh, God.
Wait, what? With a coin collection?
So
Tell the story.
me and Wolf were working.
This I gotta hear.
Me and Wolf were set to go work a tag match out at a promotion. Um, I don't remember the name of the promotion, but it was a promotion out in Wyoming, in Lusk, Wyoming. And so I'm talking to the guy and everything else, give him my rate. It's like, my rate is travel plus 70, right? And Wolf is the same. So we don't charge as a tag team because you could use us as individuals and stuff. So that's travel plus 70 to get out there, and then the rate might go up or down depending on how we are with you, like how things work. And so we drive all the way out there. It's a 10-hour drive because Lusk is like a half hour away from the border between Wyoming and Nebraska. So it's me, him, and then a female worker. We drive all the way out there to go work this show. And this show was the booker, Frank, he did not know what he was doing. And so we had individually, we had singles matches and then a tag match where we worked Tony Morales and his partner at the time, Benedict. What the hell was his last gimmick name? I can't remember, but he was a green kid. But they were a great tag team. They were known as Vanity Inc. in RMP, and great guys. I love Tony. And Austin Benedict. They're both great guys. But we had a great tag match, right? And we were the show. Like we did the singles matches, and we had these, and the four of us were probably the only real trained workers that worked that show, including the woman who came with us. But we were the only trained workers, right? So we do this great stuff. Had a good crowd there, but the crowd, like, they were eating out of the palm of our hands, stuff like that. But there was like 30 people maybe. So after the show's over, I'm ready to head back out, and the plan was we were going to crash at Frank's house in Lusk and then drive back. And the lady who, the female worker who drove up with us, she was going to rent a hotel for reasons. And yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Draw your own conclusions. All right.
Yeah, exactly. So me and Leo go to talk to Frank, and Frank's like, "Hey, yeah, so I don't actually have your cash, but I can pay you $70 worth of a coin collection and give you your travel." It's like, no, cash, money, please, thank you. And I go on and rip into this guy. Like, I was pissed, and I just start tearing him down. So much so, I make him cry. And then he's yelling after, like, as we're like breaking the ring down, he's yelling, asking if anybody wants to buy a ring for cheap because he doesn't want to be a promoter anymore and everything else like this. It was a whole thing. And I was still pissed, right? And so I'm like, let's get back in the car. Let's get the hell out of here. I want to get home now, right? So me and Leo are ready to get going. Well, it was a female worker who we drove up with. It was her car. And she's like, no, I got this hotel. I want to use this hotel. It's like, fine, use your hotel. Do whatever you're going to do in the hotel. I'll sleep in the car. Because I'm not going back to this guy's house. I just ripped him a new one and made him cry. And long story short, I ended up calming down and then talking to the dude and calming him down. And he ended up paying travel and gave me like an extra $20 out of the whole thing. But ended up, I never worked in Wyoming again. But we did end up crashing his house that night. And he tried to make us breakfast, which was really awkward. But yeah, it was one of the worst bookings I ever took. And it was one of the craziest times ever. But it's a fantastic story.
You didn't take his coin collection?
No, God, no. What do I do with a coin collection?
You know, you never know. You can sell it for some change.
Going to a vending machine, I think I go like a bag of chips or like a candy bar or something. So.
Hey, Brian, you're not thinking long term enough. Think of how much that coin collection is going to be worth in 50 years. Come on.
Yeah, it's going to increase in value by 0.02 cents.
Hopefully the value of gold doesn't go down.
I was so bad. So,
yeah. So, Jayson, what are your memories of working for Slick? Give us some good Stevie Slick stories.
Yeah. Oh. Okay.
This is what the listeners are wanting. No.
They just want to hear me do my Slick impression, huh?
Oh yeah.
But actually, before I get into that, I actually ran into Slick recently.
Okay.
Over at the Smiths by our house, and mind you, the last time I saw him was at Martin's wedding, June of 2021, and before that was the last UCW show we did, which was February 2020, right before the pandemic, right before the lockdowns. Yep. So we crossed paths as we're leaving Smith's. Kind of gives me this look. He's like, oh, hey, and there's like, I was like, hey, how's it going, Slick? He said, well, I'm still alive. Age before beauty, as they say. I just think it's hilarious. That's the first thing he says after not seeing me for 2 years. But then again, I wasn't his top 5. But yeah, that's neither here nor there.
That's a great.
But
that's a great.
But probably one regular occurrence was every time we would goof up in the UCW Facebook page, Steve would go on a rant, writing in all caps, saying, "Motherfucker, do I have to spell it out for you with fucking crayons?
That's where Manny
Are
gets
you all,
it.
Or,
are you all children?"
oh my god. Uh, that's a great Slick impression, and it makes me laugh too. I mean, I'm constantly waiting to hear the message that Slick died, so it makes sense that he says he's still alive. Um,
Natural causes, right? Nothing.
Yes.
By nothing else, right?
Yes.
And don't get me wrong. And don't get me wrong. I don't hate the guy. I mean, he's the one that gave me the opportunity to pursue my wrestling dream after a hard slump in my life. And yeah, he was kind enough to let me work with some of these great guys and hold the championship for as long as I did. So, but yeah, the reason why I do these impressions is that I just like poking fun at people. It's not for maliciousness. It's not. I just do voices. I like doing voices of famous people. I mean, I do the little the Arnold Schwarzenegger, do the bodybuilding and all that kind of thing. And so yeah, it's just a hobby.
yeah, there you go.
You know, even I like a lot of people would think that I hate Slick, but I don't. I've he's probably somebody that I've had a grudge with the most, but that's a long time ago.
Right.
So.
Well,
Yeah, Slick is just one of those guys where he just has his thinking, he has his bullheadedness, he's very hard headed, has his opinions, but yeah, why not roll with it and see if you can get him to rant a little bit.
all right. Well,
you never. It's never a good pre-show get together if you don't make Slick lose it at least once. Like, I was hanging out with Manny Lemons after our last DCW show at the beginning of the month, and Manny goes into the story on where, what's his name? I think his last name is Barlow. I forget his first name.
Brian Barlow.
Brian Barlow. He goes into the story on how right before the show, Brian comes in, brings in his 4 little pugs. It's just like, what the fuck are you bringing those ugly dogs into my building? God damn it, get them the fuck out!
oh man. That's
Amazing.
great too, because Barlow was that.
And I guess and I know that Barlow might be a little bit fun to tease a little bit, but I can just imagine. I just want to think his thoughts when Slick just went into him on that day.
Well, sadly, he probably didn't understand it. He's autistic, so
yeah, that's what I heard. I didn't know that at the time.
Yeah, I mean, Brian's a great guy. He's actually doing a comedy thing right now. He's doing open mic comedy.
Really?
Yeah, he's a really nice guy, really great guy. But he makes me laugh and not the comedy show ways. It's so good. So he was doing repping for us at this last show, right? The show that you came and joined us for, and
right.
I was running Gorilla, and so I'm talking to him on the headphones or on the walkie and telling him the times.
Oh, I think I might have heard this story, but go ahead.
And every time I would, so first, like a really common thing for the guy running Gorilla to make sure that the ref can hear you is say, hey, if you can hear me, grab the top rope. So they reach over and grab the top rope, right? So I tell Barlow, I'm like, hey, if you can hear me, grab the top rope. He doesn't grab the top rope. Instead, he looks directly into the camera and gives me a big thumbs up. And then subsequently, from that point on, every time I say something to him, whether it's like, hey, tell him they only have this much time left, or tell him to go home, or what have you, whatever it is, I'm telling him, he just looks in the camera and gives him a thumbs up every time. And it was so, I died every time. And then
Brian, tell him to go home.
Yeah. And then Manny catches on to this.
Oh, wow.
So right before the next match, actually it was in your match, because it was I think you were out there and they were waiting for Tox to come out. I think that's who came out. I think you went out first and then Tox, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're out there, and Manny's trying to get Barlow. They're trying to mess with Barlow, and so what he does is he's like, "Hey, Barlow, touch your toes if you can hear me." So Barlow bends over and reaches down and touches his toes right behind you. This whole time. And then he subsequently, again, from the rest of the match, is just giving me thumbs up the whole time.
That reminds me,
Oh,
I got a funny referee story that I'll throw out. There is this ref, this was, gosh, years ago. It was when, so Steve Gatorwolf was working for us, and he was, I think he was our champion at the time, maybe. But he was in the back, he was up next, and he had to go to the use restroom. And so, like, we had to buy time while we were waiting for him because he was up next. And so I told one of my referees at the time, his name was Yoshi, or at least that's what he went by. So I told him to go out.
Did he throw eggs at people?
No.
No, it was worse. No.
Okay, go on.
So Chad Bryant at the time was ring announcing, and I sent Yoshi out to tell him, say, hey, go tell Chad to, like, ask the fans, what their favorite match has been, and and just buy some time, kill some time by
Right.
interacting with the crowd and asking them, what do you think about this match? What's your favorite match so far? Whatever. So Yoshi goes out there, and Chad doesn't know anything about what's going on, and Yoshi goes up to Chad, and rather than saying, hey, but, here's the situation, ask the fans this, he goes up to Chad and goes, so what's been your favorite match? and Chad's like, what? It's like, why? Like, I guess this. It's like, and he's like, are you having a good time? And he's like, he's saying this to the ring announcer, Chad, instead of telling Chad to go and, like, say that to the crowd. And then finally, Chad, if you know Chad, he has a temper and everything, and so he goes and he, like, loses. He's like, what are you doing? Like, I gotta get on with the next match. And
did it buy in some time at least?
I guess so, but it was awkward. But because they were just, like, talking back and forth, and so
Just Yoshi trying to feed Brian's lines.
so Yoshi says to Chad, because Chad's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Gator's in the toilet," and I was supposed to buy some time. It's like, oh, why did you just say so? Like, hilarious.
Oh, that's so good.
So I want to do let's do this, Bravo. I want to do a little name association. So I want to throw out a name, and then you just, like, give me a story or something about them that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Let's throw out Martin Casals.
Probably...
Other than the one you already told.
Damn it. Probably, yeah. Martin Casals was probably one of the first guys I met when I first got introduced to the roster. It was like a meeting it was at a meeting at the Deacon of Doom's work, because he used to work for Encore, which is a charity organization. And, of course, back then, Marty, being Marty, always being fashionably late, it was him and Dallas Murdoch, because they were living together at the time at their house in Saratoga. And as the meeting was starting, all of a sudden, you see this door fly open, and Martin just walks through, bangs his head on the door as he walks in, and Slick goes like, you're right on time, Martin, yeah. And my first impression was like, oh, okay, so this is Martin Casals, all right, I bet he's nice. But no, afterwards, he was actually one of the nicest people. I think they were, like, serving some breakfast to the workers, and the wrestlers got to eat, and he actually came up and talked to me and just like, hey, so tell me about yourself, what got you into wrestling, how long you've been doing this. And yeah, it just goes to show that with wrestling, with its reputation, tends to have your fair share of people who are just in the business for themselves and just wants to get themselves over. But Martin is just one of those guys who just genuinely cares about, every single person he comes
Oh
across.
yeah.
So, I mean, I'm very fortunate to call him a really close friend, and he's actually someone who actually got me out of a really sticky situation with my living situation. So it was like this past year, I had to find a new place, and Martin and Leslie, they had a room that was open, and immediately took it, and it's been a great time. It's been quite a journey.
Yeah.
Awesome. Los Mochipaco.
Oh God, where do I start? What? Oh my gosh. Besides the Vegas stories, I can probably tell you a story about the first time Paco and I partied at Martin's house, playing beer pong throughout the night, talking shit to each other, chopping the hell out of one another, and then getting so drunk to the point to where we end up in Martin's bedroom.
Wow.
and we both end up no, don't get ahead of yourselves. No. So we both ended up passing out in his bed, and I woke up in the middle of the night because this motherfucker snores like none other. So it was to the point where I'm just like, fuck this, and I actually got out of bed and just slept right on the floor.
No. I'll throw out.
There's
Yeah, go ahead.
But go ahead.
Junior X.
Probably one story that comes to mind. I think probably one of the best matches we have, or one of the best rivalries we had, when I was champion. I remember us working together in the cage match, and that's how I ended up getting busted open the hard way. Because the spot was he was supposed to give me a running knee from behind, and I was supposed to block it, but he ended up coming in so fast, and my head actually hit the middle beam
Oof.
of the cage, and gave me a nice little opening, a nice little, as they say in modding pythons, it's merely a flesh wound.
Yes.
Ah,
It's merely a flesh wound.
Guerrero Azteca.
Probably I probably would think back to our championship match when we did a show at, what was it, Studio, what is it called?
Studio
It's right down,
600?
right. Yes, that's what it was.
Yeah,
It was the same.
Studio Infinity now, or something like that now.
Okay. Yeah. I think, it was like a classic championship match that we put together, and even though Guerrero Azteca ended up going over that match, it was probably one of the top matches of the show, and I don't know if you guys know who Cassandra was, or is.
Yes.
He actually worked that show, and afterwards he came up to both of us, and came up to me and said, dude, that was a really great match. So getting props from him was quite a moment.
Awesome.
I'll say Sierra Rose.
I think I think it'll be fine. It's nothing too terrible happened.
Oh, no.
No. I think it was like the first night she actually came to Martin's house, and partied to the point to where she actually passed out on the kitchen floor, face down. And we actually took a picture afterwards. So it was me, Martin, and one of Martin's high school friends. We were just standing over her as she's laying face down, and we're all just like, just these shots on our faces. Because if you know anything about Gabby, I mean, she definitely likes to talk a lot of shit, and a lot of times she can definitely back it up. But it was one of the nights where she said she could keep up with us as far as our drinking goes, and clearly that was not the night for her.
Adin Reyes.
Honestly, I haven't had a ton of reactions with Adin Reyes. All of them have been pretty positive. I think one story that comes to mind, I was fairly new. We ended up having a tag match, and he was the one. At the time, he came out to Kesha and did that little dance
Oh
with
yeah.
the glasses, and it came out in my white singlet, being this up and coming baby face, and we're all both doing the fist in the face and just bobbing the head, getting the crowd popping. Yeah, I think that's one that comes to mind.
Nice.
Deacon of Doom.
Ooh, Deacon of Doom. I think, yeah, he was probably one of the first people that I met when I started my very first wrestling training at Flash's Academy. And again, he's just another one of those guys that's just really caring and just really wants to get to know you, and just a really swell guy.
Awesome.
Yeah. David the Destroyer.
Okay. So, I forget which pay-per-view it was. There was a time where we would come to my house and we would watch WWE pay-per-views, and had a decent amount of guys that would come by, and I don't know how we got into the subject, but David started talking about booty. I don't know. I don't remember it was one of the divas or how we got in the subject, but it became a running joke throughout the night. Whenever it was quiet and whenever it was like a diva in the ring, one of us would just go, booty.
I'm so glad I threw that name out there.
Me too. Oh.
Manny Lemons.
Manny Lemons. Probably one. There was actually a period where Manny and I would hang out outside of wrestling because there was a girl that I was dating at the time, and her friend was actually going out with Manny. That relationship didn't last, obviously, but yeah, I mean, yeah, unfortunately, I haven't had a ton of interactions with Manny Lemons outside the biz, but yeah, another guy that always had positive interactions, so pretty swell guy, I would say.
Were you around? Do you have any? Do you know Concussion?
Yes, I do.
All right,
I never worked with a guy, but I've heard stories and know his reputation. I think the one and only time I saw him wrestle was I forget the name. I forget the name of the promotion that Brad Landon ran for a little bit. It was the same. It was the same show that he wrestled Adam Pearce.
Yep, IWR.
IWR, yeah.
Yep.
That was another match that will forever burn in my psyche. But yeah, just seeing Concussion just do his thing where has a guy lying on the table on the outside and him doing his flip over the top rope and just crashing through. But what were some stories that I heard? I think there were some stories where there would be a group of guys in the hotel room, and Concussion would use the shower, and he would somehow clog the bathtub drain, and he would piss all over the bathtub. And so the next guy who would be coming to want to take a shower would have this big pool of piss.
Oh, jeez. I've heard a lot of concussion stories. I haven't heard that one.
That's a new one for me too.
And I've experienced a lot of concussion stories.
Oh, there's another story I remember off the top of my head just now. This is a story that MK told me. Yeah, this was a time when me and MK were traveling to a promotion in Texas, Squared Circle Pro, that's what it's called. That was a fun trip in itself. Just a lot of stories as far as his love for ECW, and there was a lot of moments where he would show me videos of what's his name, New Jack. Yeah, MK's definitely a New Jack mark, but yeah, back to the story. There was a story where it was MK, Concussion, and there was a referee. Is the referee's name Sign Guy?
Yep, Cody.
Yes. Yep.
Kind of thing. Okay. Yeah. So I forget where they were traveling to, but there was a night where they got in the night before, went for a night of drinking. Sign guy got super drunk, ended up passing out on the bed, and Concussion would take a lighter and actually started burning Sign Guy's feet because he fell asleep with his shoes and socks off. So Sign Guy wakes up the next day with blisters
Oh,
covering his feet, and he had to rep a show the next day. So throughout the day, he was like, "Damn, why do my feet hurt?"
Oh my
Jesus
god.
Christ.
Now, granted, this is a story that MK told me.
Right.
So,
Uh,
Give me another MK story.
this is another good one.
Oh.
So this is the same trip when we traveled to Lubbock, Texas, to Squared Circle Pro. Ended up having a pretty decent match. Got paid relatively well. Good venue, good crowd. I did a spot where I was the champion at the time and came in and talked with their champion, had a nice little promo. Then a couple of heels would come out and talk shit to us, set up a tag match, and ended up going with the tag match where I ended up abandoning their champion. What was his name? Damian Blood. That's right. Where I turned heel, turned on Damian Blood, just walked out of the match. That typical spot where you go in for the hot tag, you reach, and all of a sudden you just drop down, give them the fuck you, and walk off.
oh yeah.
And I have never heard a crowd turn that quick on someone. They were one moment they're cheering me, and the next moment they're just wanting to kill me. So that's a sign that you're doing your job,
Right.
Absolutely.
So anyway, we get done with the match. I ended up going to the bar, grabbing some food, grabbing some drinks, and all of a sudden this chick comes by and starts hitting on me. She wants some of that Bravo body, right? So ends up buying me a shot. Her fat, ugly friend comes by. I'm trying to get her to go away so I can talk with this chick. And mind you, I was wearing a Tyler Cintron shirt at the time. So I gave her my shirt just to try to make her go away. Of course, she's having a blast. She's like, "Whoa, I got a wrestler's shirt! Yeah!" And so I'm now sitting at the bar shirtless. Bartender comes up like, "Sir, you can't be shirtless at the bar. Gotta go get something else." I'm like, "All right, fine." Walk to the back. Bought a Square Circle Pro show shirt prior. Go to look for that. Try to put that on. I can't find it. And all of a sudden, MK comes walking by. I'm drunk as I take a couple of shots, and I'm like, "MK, where's my shirt?" And MK's just cracking up. And to this day, he just tells anybody who is willing to listen to that story. Every time we're in the same room, it's like, "Hey, remember the time that you got drunk and I couldn't find your shirt?"
Well, I know the next story I'm going to ask MK about when we're at show.
Nice. Hey, MK, tell me about the time that Bravo lost his shirt.
Do you have any other good Cintron stories, Tyler Cintron?
Other than the traveling story of him and Josh Damian, I definitely know I have some off the top of my head, but sorry, I'm drawing a blank right now.
You're good?
Did you ever hear the Sunny story with Cintron?
The what story?
Him and Sunny from the WWE?
Oh, I was there.
Okay, you got to tell the story then. We need a first person account of it because we've heard stories and we want to know.
All right, so the Sunny show. So we're all having a riot. Deacon's drunk off his ass and just screaming, "Sonny, I love you!" Doing the New Jack impression. Bang, bang!
Jesus.
So it was after the show. I think we're all just kind of hanging out. Sonny comes out and talks to us. And I'm trying to remember. I think Cintron tried to talk to her a little bit. Was able to get a handshake. No, she was trying to go for a handshake, but Cintron was asking for a hug. Got it from Sonny. And we're all still hanging out afterwards. And sometime later, she walks up, kind of rubs the back, kind of gives that little rub on the back, and she's like, "So, which one of you boys is going to buy me a drink?" and, and Centron, being Centron, just goes off and says, "Listen, why don't you go find some other sucker to buy you a drink, and when you're ready for me, come find me." And then she obviously wasn't too happy about that.
Nice.
Well, I think it
nice.
worked out well for Centron saying it's how time he's gone.
Ugh.
So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, it's easy to see stories like that and just point and laugh, but on the deeper level, that's just see someone that was at that level in WWE, well known, and just to end up the situation that she's in.
Yeah. Well, drugs do that to you, so.
Yeah, cocaine's a hell of a drug, as a.
Yeah, and anything else that she's taken.
Right.
Allegedly, right?
All right. All right, Bravo. So we're gonna be wrapping up
Yeah.
here, but as we do, tell us about some of the stuff you're gonna be doing soon. Stuff with the Dive or stuff with UCW, or maybe even Devotion if you're coming back with us. What's the future for Bravo?
So future for Bravo, I'm definitely doing the next Dive show on November. Was it November? Not November 11th, but the weekend after. So this is probably when you're off of social media. You don't find out unless you ask the promoter what your wrestling show days are.
All right.
But yeah, wrestling for Dive, wrestling up in South Weber the weekend after November 11th. And as of right now, all I'm doing is Dive wrestling, but after working with you guys in DCW, I would definitely love to work with you guys a little bit more. So, and I definitely will have to take more bookings because I definitely took a little break during the pandemic and the lockdown, and now I'm just at the point in my life where I'm wanting to get myself back out there after being in the business for 13 years and seeing what Martin Casals has done. It's definitely inspired me to go out and do more because I got that itch to do a lot more because I know I'm capable of more.
Oh yeah, I feel that. It's part of the reason I've been doing a lot more shows lately myself for the same reason. I took some time off and just getting back into it myself a couple years ago. And it looks like I just did take a look for you. Dive Wrestling's next show, Last Chance, is on November 18th up in South Weber. So, all right. Well, and then, of course, we would always love to have you out for the Devotion shows, maybe double book.
Yeah.
7-11.
Yeah, let me know. Yeah, let me know when's the next show, and I'll definitely check my schedule.
That's actually that weekend before. That one's on November 11th.
Ah, okay.
So, and then, not to mention that, like, I didn't grab him today, but I'm going to be grabbing Martin to come to our trainings every Wednesday night. When we do that
nice.
stuff. He asked me about doing that for him so that he has some accountability. If you're home, I'll be more than happy to come grab you too, and you can come over to trainings and join us.
Yeah, for sure. I've actually been looking to find a day on where I can start doing wrestling training. Yeah, because like Derek Janetti says, you are as good as how much you put into training.
Yep.
And yeah, I definitely miss training practice as well. So I definitely love to be able to join you guys and maybe put my 2 cents here and there if anyone's willing to listen. Yeah, because definitely, you definitely guys have a really great locker room and definitely have some great camaraderie. And I definitely think this is a great opportunity where Utah wrestling, all the promotions that we have in this state, definitely can start working together. Because for a while we've had this divide by certain people, but now in this day and age, let's just put all that aside. Let's make Utah wrestling great.
It's true, and at this point, like, there's almost no reason that you can't work a show every weekend. I mean, I mentioned this now. I've been working almost every weekend as it is. There's not a reason you can't and be in Utah or be around Utah to work every show. So, but yeah, like totally. At the Elsinore Wrestling Academy of Utah, which is the school that Devotion has, we do trainings Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, 5:30 on. So, we'd be more than welcome to have you. Like I said, I can come grab you on Wednesdays when I grab Martin since you guys live together, and get you all to come over to trainings on Wednesdays.
Yeah, let's do that, man.
All right, brother.
Yeah, I totally be down, brother.
Okay. Well, with all that being said, you said you didn't have any social media right now.
Yeah, not on social media right now. I'm living off the grid, as I like to say. I definitely know with wrestling, it's definitely something that you want to take advantage of, especially if you're on Facebook and Instagram, because that's all point of wrestling is getting your name out
Oh yeah.
there and getting discovered by the right people. So, uh, if I'm definitely looking to get my name back out there and make a name for myself and be better than ever before, I guess social media. Here I come. As much as I hate it,
I don't have like I
it's
have my own personal Facebook one, but that's the only one that's my personal one. Everything else I have is gimmick, and that's just because I try to keep that stuff separate. And my personal Facebook one only is like only for my family, really, because they live in a different state. So I tell this to the kids all the time, like uh, not my kids, but it's like the trainees. Uh, you always want to get a gimmick page, right? At minimum, have X/Twitter because that's the one that most bookers go to, and like an Instagram because that's great for showing off your pictures and yourself. If you can have those
right.
two at minimum, you don't need the others. The more avenues you have, always the better. TikTok, of course, is a big one right now to try and show off things, but the minimum is TikTok or is X/Twitter and Instagram, and make those as gimmick pages. Like you don't need to have your own personal stuff on Instagram. You can just have your gimmick stuff and then only respond to people you want to that way. You don't have to care about anything else.
Gotcha.
So
I think that's my problem before. Because yeah, why argue about politics and COVID vaccines on a wrestling page, right?
exactly,
Right.
exactly.
Don't divide your audience. Hate them all.
Let's
Or of your face, try to bring them all together.
right.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Bravo, for being with us tonight. And before we go, I just wanted to let everyone know some of the current the current shows coming to you right now for Devotion Championship Wrestling. And that's going to start with November 3rd, Ace of Saloon in Salt Lake City. That will be a bar fight style show, so no ring, no rules, just fun. Come on out for that show. And then November 11th, Light Tree Studios, we will be having Painsgiving, your next opportunity to see a live taping for Fight TV for Devotion Championship Wrestling. And then we have a couple other shows that are still in flux coming up with the following weeks after that. And then we have our big show, December 9th, the DCW 5-year anniversary show, which it's crazy to see it's coming around already because that was when you and I got connected again. Bravo was at the last year's anniversary show in December, so we're going to be bringing it around again in just a couple of months. So it's coming up pretty quick. All those will be available for you guys to get tickets at through social media such as Facebook and Instagram at Devotion Championship Wrestling or on Twitter/X at DCW Salt Lake City. Also, don't forget if you guys have any questions that you want to reach out to us about directly, why don't you guys tell us about some of your favorite Bravo stories that you guys might have had if you guys had the opportunity of seeing Bravo in the past, some of your favorite matches with him. Reach out to us on our social medias. You can reach out to us at Instagram, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Be Hero Media, or always go to BeHeroMedia.com for all of your podcasting needs from us. You can also reach out to me directly at Mike Burke Pro on Twitter/X and Mike Burke DCW on everything else. And you can reach out to Psycho at Psycho Wrestling on Facebook. Oh, man. All that extra blurb at the end. That being said, again, Bravo, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was a definitely fun opportunity to talk with you. I think this is actually the most we've ever had an interaction with outside of anything wrestling. So,
Yeah, just glad that I'm here to just be with you guys and just share some stories, have some laughs. But yeah, if you ever want to have me again, just let me know. Definitely love to come back in.
oh yeah, definitely, we would love to have
Absolutely.
you. There's always opportunities for that, and then who knows? We do review shows after the big shows all the time. Maybe we'll reach out to you and have you get your opinions on the shows too. So,
Okay,
all right.
I'll be down.
All right, on, man. All right, guys. Well, Psycho, is there anything else before I forget?
Nope. I think that's good.
All right. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I sure did. It was great to have Bravo on joining us. And for the rest of Be Hero Presents, This has been me. This has been Psycho, and this is us tapping out. Have a good night, guys.
Bravo, bravo.